Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and welcome to my presentation of case study entitled Families and Educators Supporting Bilingualism in Early Childhood. The speaker of the day is named Nur Ali Binti Faris and my matrix number is 20222924400125. First of all, we will dive into the first section of the case study, which is the executive summary. In this section, it touches on investigated strategies of three Latino families in the U.S. for bilingual education. It also touches on conducted comparative case study over 3 years. The families motivated by cognitive economic benefits of bilingualism, cultural and cultural preservation. It also implemented household strategy to emphasize Spanish, relying on schools for English education. Concerns rises over children's English competence at school initiation and more difficulty retaining Spanish fluency, which is their first language, observed than acquiring English proficiency. Lastly, we provided recommendations to promote early childhood bilingualism and emphasize the importance of parental, educator, and societal support in addressing the challenges. Next, moving on, to dive deeper into the study, we should remember the three names involved, which is first, the Cortez family, the Jimenez family, and the Lucas family. Three of these households are Spanish, which is mean that Spanish is their first language while they are learning English as their second language. Next, moving on to the introduction section. Here, we learn that early childhood bilingualism involves proficiency in two languages during preschool years. uh, and complex process influenced by individual, familial, and societal factors. Pierre Listock, 2010, suggests that bilingualism impacts cognitive performance and brain anatomy. Introduction, which is this section, provides background for case study of three Latino families in the US. It aims to analyze their motive, techniques, and obstacles in promoting bilingualism at home. It also utilizes qualitative ethnography approach to understand personal, familial, and societal influences. Focuses on three Latino families living in the U.S. with distinct backgrounds and language practices. It aims to extract insights into complexities of early childhood bilingualism. The main objective is to understand motivation, strategies, and challenges in order to provide practical recommendations for fostering linguistic diversity. And it advocates for increased acknowledgement and support for linguistic variety in educational and cultural settings. To recall, this study has three objectives, which is first to understand the family's motivation in achieving bilingualism in their children. Next, to analyze the strategies conducted by the families to achieve their goal and oversee the challenges they have um, encountered along the way. This is to provide practical recommendations to foster linguistic diversity in the future. So, before we dive deeper into this presentation, it is wise for us to understand what is exactly childhood bilingualism. It is when a child learns and becomes proficient in two languages during their early years, usually before age 6 or 7. In this case, It is when the children of the families learn Spanish and English. The child can understand, speak, and write in both languages. This can happen if the child happens to grow up in a household where two languages are spoken, or attends a bilingual education program, or live in a multicultural community in which they speak more than two languages. Bilingualism can occur through simultaneous learning of both languages or learning one language first and then adding the second language later. It provides cognitive, linguistic, and socio-economic benefits for the child. Next, on section 3.0 findings, it touches on the finding of the case study. First, when we look at the Cortez family, initially they expected that their daughter Josefina would acquire fluency in Spanish and English by speaking Spanish at home and English at school. However, along the way they encountered challenges, which is Josefina has struggled to articulate herself proficiently in Spanish, which is her first language, despite understanding the language. This is because exposure to English-speaking environment during daycare impacted linguistic growth. Next family, it is the Jimenez. Uh, Initially, her parents attempted to establish a multilingual environment at home for daughter Kayla, which means at home they practice both of the language. However, uh, um, they have faced challenges, which is Kayla's exposure to Spanish was very limited. Uh, in turn, it hinders her ability to confidently express herself. This is because lack of bilingual daycare options further impeded the language acquisition. Lastly, the Velasquez family expected their daughter to effortlessly develop bilingualism by exposure to Spanish at home and English at school, which means their strategy is to divide the learning of the language by at home and school. For Spanish at home and English at school. However, Thais English proficiency surpassed her Spanish fluency, indicating the need for active cultivation of language skills in both of the language. As we are now exposed to the findings of the case study, it is wise for us to discuss about the intricacies of language transmission, the influence of cultural identity, and the significance of community support. First, the difficulty of promoting bilingualism for Latino families. Latino families often encounter challenges in raising children to be fluent in two languages due to various factors such as societal pressures, language dominance, and access to resources. Low access to resources makes the children of these Latino families to acquire their second language more than their first language, which is Spanish. Next, which is the complex relationship between individual, familial, and societal factors. This is because bilingualism is influenced by factors at the individual level. For example, uh, the child cognitive abilities. Next, familial level, parental language practices, and societal level, language policies and cultural norms. It is also wise for us to not ignore the economic factors as well. For example, the parents' resources for the parents' economic status for acquiring more resources for their children's learning of the language. Third is the importance of input quantity in second language learning. This research has emphasized the role of input quantity in second language acquisition, indicating that exposure to a language-rich environment is crucial for language development. For example, if a child has raised in an environment where the family has spoken English or Spanish a lot, then they will most definitely acquire the language more efficiently. Next is the connection between language transmission and cultural identity preservation. Language proficiency is closely linked to a cultural identity preservation, as parents seek to ensure their children maintain fluency in their heritage language to preserve their cultural heritage and sense of belonging. This factor will create um, this factor, although it's very rational, will create a problem in the future where the children will might not be able to acquire their second language or the dominant language quickly. Parents emphasis on the significance of Spanish fluency for cultural heritage. Latino parents often prioritize Spanish fluency to instill cultural pride, maintain familiar tradition, and foster a connection to their cultural roots. Next, dilemma between cultural preservation and practical challenges in English dominant society. However, these parents face the challenges of balancing the desire to preserve the cultural heritage through the language with the practical realities of functioning in an English dominant society where English proficiency is often equated with success and opportunity. This this is a true fact since uh, in every job it is required for us to be able to be fluent in English in order to acquire a job in the future. Next is the importance of bilingualism for and emotional, cognitive, and academic growth. Bilingualism offers numerous benefits for children's development, including enhanced social skills, emotional resilience, cognitive flexibility, because they can think in two different languages, and potential academic advantages in a globalized world that that emphasize the most dominant language, which is English. Next is systemic barriers faced by Latino families in accessing bilingual resources. These Latino families encounter barriers such as lack of accessible bilingual education programs, limited availability of bilingual materials, and insufficient community support for promoting bilingualism. This might caused by the fact that uh, a lot of families has given up for this, so they only speak English, so they found that there is no need for bilingualism resources. Next is the lack of available bilingual education programs and materials. Despite their effort to establish bilingual settings at home, it is also important for families to find the available bilingual education programs and materials. However, these families struggle to find reputable bilingual education programs and resources in their communities, hindering their children's bilingual development. Next, cognitive benefits for early childhood bilingualism, including enhanced problem-solving abilities and creativity. It has found that early bilingualism been linked to cognitive advantages such as improved problem-solving skills, creativity, and cognitive ability, contributing to children's overall cognitive development. Next is social and cultural benefits of bilingualism, fostering connections with diverse individuals and appreciation of cultural variety. Bilingualism promotes social connections and cultural appreciation of the world by enabling children to communicate with individuals from diverse cultural backgrounds and understand different cultural perspectives. This in turn will create a a global citizen of the world. Next is the importance of global collaboration in intercultural communication skills in a connected world. This is because in an interconnected world, proficiency in multiple languages and intercultural communication are very important and essential for successful global collaboration and to navigate diverse cultural contexts. By learning various languages, these children will in turn learn more about the community around them, including the different cultures. Last but not least, early bilingualism strengthens personal and cultural identities, leading to lifelong advantages in academic and professional settings. Early bilingualism contributes to the development of strong personal and cultural identities, providing children a lifelong advantages such as better academic performances, job opportunities, and success in multicultural environment. Other than that, these bilingual children will also become proud of their native language or their heritage. We have almost come to the end of the case study report presentation, which is the 5.0 section, which is conclusion. First and foremost, in this section, it has touches upon the exploration of fostering bilingualism among Latino families. The case study delves into the complex process of promoting bilingualism in early childhood within Latino families, highlighting the goals and the challenges they face. Next is the commitment to safeguarding cultural identity and linguistic history. However, despite living in an English-dominant society like the US, Latino families are strongly committed to preserving their cultural identity and linguistic heritage by uh, by continuously speaking Spanish. Next is the importance of family relationship, community supports, and societal perspective. The study had underscores the significant role of family dynamics, community support, and societal attitudes in influencing multilingual linguistic development. Next is the obstacles faced by parents in promoting bilingualism. Parents have encountered various obstacles such as lack of accessible bilingual education and, and societal expectation to prioritize English fluency. Next is the necessity of cooperative efforts among stakeholders such as parents, committee, educators, and are essential for effectively addressing the challenges faced by bilingual families. Next is by endorsing enlargement of bilingual education programs. Stakeholders must promote bilingualism by endorsing the expansion of bilingual education program and fostering linguistic diversity. For example, stakeholders um, can raise money to build a bilingual education school or tuition in order to increase the linguistic diversity in their community. Next is by embracing bilingualism as a significant resource. Bilingualism is recognized as a valuable resource that enhances cognitive, social, and cultural experiences for individuals. Next is the importance of fair access to resources and opportunities. By ensuring equitable access to resources and opportunities for developing bilingual language skills is crucial for empowering Latino families to embrace their linguistic and cultural heritage fully. Last but not least, we have come to the last section of the case study, which is zero point 0.6 recommendations. In this section, it has touched upon enhancing availability of bilingual education programs and resources, collaboration among community organizations, educational institutes, and policymakers is very needed to provide additional bilingual daycare options and improve accessibility of bilingual programs to empower these Latino families or other immigrant families to foster bilingualism in early childhood. Next is by providing knowledge about the advantages of bilingualism and effective methods for language transmission. Parents and early childhood teachers can arrange workshops, seminars, and information sessions to educate themselves about the benefits of bilingualism and effective strategies for language transmission. Next is by adopting multilingual policies in educational institutions and childcare centers. For example, in Malaysia, we have already practiced this by through the policy of MBM and NBI, um, which is upholding the Malay language while also enhancing the English language. Next is by promoting bilingual literacy through reading and writing activities. Parents and teachers should encourage reading and writing activities in both languages to develop proficiency in those languages. This is because bilingual literacy can introduce to facilitate simultaneous development of literacy skills in both languages. For example, parents or teachers can do a storytelling or a reading session which uses a bilingual storybook to in order to enhance both of the language at once. Next is by fostering cultural awareness and appreciation. Parents and teachers should teach children about various cultural experiences, traditions, and perspectives to foster empathy and understanding. For example, a teacher or parents can show various culture through the internet by watching videos on YouTube or shows on the television to expose children of various culture and language at an early age. Next is by providing sustained assistance to Latino families. In this part, stakeholders must offer continuous support, access to language resources, and language maintenance programs to help Latino families to maintain bilingualism over time. Last but not least, collaborative efforts to overcome obstacles. Individuals with an interest or concern in bilingualism can collaborate to overcome obstacles hindering its development in Latino families, creating a more inclusive and supportive environment for bilingualism in early childhood. For example, uh, families or parents can create a Facebook group online to have an online support community in order to tackle these challenges faced. Before we come to the end of this presentation, we should move on to the question and answer session. This question has been sent to me by one of my leaders earlier. Okay, the first question sounds like, how can communities empower Latino families to foster bilingualism in early childhood? Here, I have already prepared an answer, which is communities can collaborate with organizations, educational institutions, and policymakers to enhance the availability of bilingual education programs and resources, and provide support and resources to empower Latino families in promoting bilingualism. Next question is, what strategies can parents and educators implement to support bilingualism in early childhood? My answer is parents and educators can organize workshops and seminars to educate themselves about the benefits of bilingualism and effective methods for language transmission. They can also promote bilingual literacy through reading and writing activities and foster cultural awareness by integrating cultural events into the curriculum. Thank you. Feel free to approach me if you have any questions. Thank you.